So it would not be a new year without a new product from xTool. And this time, we don't have a laser, we actually have a printer, specifically a DTF printer, or a direct-to-film printer. Now, this is actually going to launch as a Kickstarter in early February, but since this was just announced, I thought I'd give you guys my impression on what I think about it. Now, I basically have reviewed all of xTool's products, and for the most part, they're pretty much all lasers. I got a few of them behind me. So my printer experience isn't as deep, but late last year I actually did review a DTF printer from Pro Colored. So now I have a better idea of the process. The idea is you're printing a full color, vibrant image onto a clear piece of film. You take that film, put some glue on it, you bake it, then you use a heat press to transfer that onto some type of material. A lot of times that's gonna be shirts or fabrics or hats, that kind of stuff. Now DTF printers will use two different passes when they're printing. First is going to be a white base layer, and then your color layer is gonna go on top of that. What's really great is if you're gonna put something onto like colored fabric, you're gonna have to see that fabric bleed through because you've got that white underneath. Now DTF stands apart from screen printing in that you can do these really complex images. You aren't limited to like a single color like you are per screen with screen printing. So you might do like 4 or 5 different colors with screen printing, but you're gonna have 5 different screens with different graphics inside of it. Then you're taking ink and then swiping it across. With DTF, it's an actual straight up printer and you're gonna get an image like that. Now the trade-off with that is the amount of time it takes to do a print. So with screen printing, you do one screen, then you can use that screen over and over and over again. Pretty much the time it takes to print is just gonna be how long it takes you to load up your shirt or whatever you wanna use, swipe your ink, and then be good to go. With a DTF printer, you'll have to print your graphic onto the film every single time you wanna use it, then put on the glue, bake it, and then use a heat press to transfer it to your material. But this is what xTool has actually announced. Now, I don't have the machine in front of me. I am gonna get one of these units to review in the future, so this isn't like a formal review. First off, the shape of it is more or less kind of the same as what you can find from other manufacturers, especially like in this price point. Price being as of right now, this is $4,000 at release. Going with the way xTool normally does that, I'm gonna imagine that goes up at least $500, if not $1,000 when they go to their full priced option. As we're going to see in a minute, the $4,000 applies just to the printer because the most unique aspect of this is this can actually sit on what they're calling a shake and bake stand. So this will apply the glue, shake off your excess, and then an oven that is internal to it that will bake the glue onto your artwork. You'll still have to take it out of your machine and use a heat press to transfer it, but they're advertising the fact that it's just like one click in that you send the artwork to the printer prints it out, it applies the glue, it gets the excess glue off and it bakes it, and then you're gonna be good to go just to transfer it. That's really, really cool, but we don't know the price what that stand glue / baking system is going to be. So I could totally see this being several $1,000s, even more on top of this once they have all that pricing announced. But for the actual print head itself, it looks to be kind of standard with what you're gonna find with some of the other DTF printers that are out there. I believe the majority of them are using like Epson print heads. They're giving you a 720 by 1800 DPI, where a majority of that is limited to the drop size for the actual ink, which totally makes sense. Now, one thing I've seen in a few places is they're talking about a dual print head, and what I can't tell is if they mean a dual print head in where you've got like your color print head, which is like your yellow, blue, and magenta, but then you also have your white print head. That is what I've got on my Pro Colored machine. And the white, you go through a lot more than you do the colors because again, that white base layer is underneath every single print that you do. So a lot of times the amount of like white ink that you have is gonna be double than the other colors. Or they mean that they're taking the full color plus white and black and then doubling that so that it can print twice as fast. If that is the case, and I think that is what they're saying, but I've seen some people kind of arguing online if that is actually true. But if that's true, it's gonna have some pretty fast print speeds but this definitely seems to be marketed towards a business or like a small shop setting where you're actually worried about the amount of time it takes to print and your profit margins that are tied into that. Yeah, so you can see here's that printer on top, and it looks like it's sitting on top of this big unit, which honestly kind of has like the same form factor of their new filter unit that you're gonna use with lasers. And then I'm guessing it's gonna like shoot it out towards the bottom. Now, if this goes the same as how xTool has approached lasers and put out those products, I will say like spec to spec, probably can find a machine that's gonna work as well and may even be cheaper. This is gonna be a little bit more industrial, but it's also going to be a lot harder to use. And I think right here, this is a good show of that, is just their touchscreen interface. So you're gonna be able to see your graphics, it's full color. This actually looks a lot like the screen they've got on their xTool F1 Ultra, so their high-end fiber machine. And what's nice about that is it is a physical touchscreen, but I imagine you're also gonna have controls to the machine itself, as well as getting a preview of what you are going to print. And the preview piece of it is something else that xTool does pretty well, and they have integrated cameras, and I'm trying to see if they're gonna show it. Yeah, so they're calling a AI camera that looks like it's gonna be built into the print head itself. It looks like it's gonna be able to take what it just printed and compare it to what it actually is supposed to be printing, like the colors, and then see if there needs to be any adjustments to the internal print settings. So maybe you have some clog in your colors or in your white, and it needs to clean things up, or it needs to just like adjust stuff on the fly. That's gonna be really, really interesting to see how they do that. Now, one of the biggest things with the DTF printer that I did not realize until I first started messing around with it is the maintenance of them are a good bit more involved than a typical like normal printer, or especially like a laser, because there is so much ink inside of it. It's pretty easy to get it clogged. And the machine is doing like an ongoing maintenance cycle where it's like purging lines, flushing things out, making sure everything stays good to go. That's the case with the Pro Colored one that I've got. And it looks like xTool is bringing that over as well. So that is nice to see, because it is definitely annoying when I've gone in to try to print something and it doesn't work and I have to clean everything out on the inside. And then finally, the number one selling point for xTool with me, especially over the last year, has just been their software, xTool Creative Space, and just how far it has come. It's gonna be really interesting to see how they bring a printer into that workflow, where they actually have some printer stuff already with the M1 Ultra, but a full-fledged professional style printer into it, where you'll still be able to use all of their really great tools, as well as a lot of their AI, like art generation stuff. I could totally see working for a use case like this even more than what you're gonna do with a laser. Now, coming down to the FAQ, again, something to note is the $4,000 that the Kickstarter price is probably gonna start at does not include that shaker oven, like we're talking about, so it's just for the printer itself. But it also means it probably opens you up to using like other ovens as well. The shaker that I have, quote unquote, is just my hands. It's literally like a Rubbermaid tub with the powder glue inside of it that I just wear some gloves. I take my prints through, then I just physically shake it off. I can just cure it inside of the oven. It takes a couple minutes, and then move it over to the heat press. And then another thing that's not included here at all is you'll still need a heat press, which xTool does have, and that one I think got released when the M1 Ultra came out with their like vinyl print transfers. Now, hopefully we'll be getting this machine when the Kickstarter is running, and I would love to answer any questions that you guys have about it. Make sure and let me know down in the comments. I would love to know what you think of this in general, and if you think a product like this is something you might think picking up in the future. All right, until next time, go make or break something in your shop. See you guys.
You got a blank tee, a hoodie or a tote. Dream it up big, now it's time to let it float. Full color prints, yeah, the future's in your hands. No more waiting, press a button, take a stand. Fast, preheat, no time to lose. This machine was made to groove with low cost and vibrant hues.